So after playing for almost 100 hours within the first week of release, I think it is finally time for things I wish I knew earlier in Nioh 2. So without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into it. The first tip, and definitely the one that has saved my life more than anything else on this list, is going to be the stagger cancellation. Like on Nioh 1, if we deplete our ki/stamina bar and then get hit by an enemy, we'll become completely staggered. In this state, we won't be able to move nor attack and will become completely vulnerable. However, there are actually two things we can do to instantly remove the staggered state and jump right back into the action. The first one is going to be using the burst attack. This is the R2 plus circle. As we can see in the clip in the background, as soon as we become staggered, we're going to press R2 and circle, instantly removing the staggered state, even allowing us to attack the enemy if we so choose to. The second way of getting out of stagger is going to be by using the soul core abilities. These are the abilities we equipped to our guardian spirit with R2 triangle, R2 and square, and R2 and X. With these you can also instantly get out of stagger, and with some of them you can even avoid enemy attacks. Another great use for the burst attack, the R2 and circle, is going to be for animation cancels. This can be used for many different reasons. For me, the most common use for this was with the Kusarigama. If you hold down triangle, it'll do a grab attack at range and then reel them in towards you, which is really useful. However, if the enemy decides to block or dodge this, you become vulnerable as it has a very slow animation recovery. And when the enemy starts charging towards you when you're still in animation recovery, it can be very scary. However, you can instantly cancel this animation recovery by again using your burst attack, even allowing you to hit the enemy if they do start charging towards you. The next tip is going to be when you're on the world map, you can roam your cursor around, and in specific locations, the cursor will turn red. If we interact with these locations, we'll get some free items. There are a total of 35 different red locations, and you'll need to get 10 of them for the trophy. Now, I don't want to waste too much time explaining which skills are the best or which skills you should unlock first for each type of class, as that may be a completely separate video. However, what I will say is when you're unlocking new skills, make sure you're checking each skill in case they have these little arrows above it, as these arrows indicate that once you've already unlocked this skill, you can actually put more points into it to level it up. In most skill trees, it will increase the effectiveness or the power of said skill. And in the case of the ninjutsu and the magic skill trees, it will allow you to have more amount repairable and decreasing the cost of the ninjutsu or the magic. Another quick tip, now we're on the topic of the skill trees, is that you'll notice some of the skills are going to be green, and these ones actually have to be equipped to specific active skills. And this is not done automatically, so once we unlock a green skill, we want to go over here to skill customization. And now let's say we have L1 and triangle here equipped to Crimson Fury. Then we want to press the square button over Crimson Fury, and here we can equip onto Crimson Fury any of the green skills we have unlocked. So for example, we decide to equip Murderous Strike onto Crimson Fury. This will make it so that every time we use Crimson Fury, the Murderous Strike skill will also kick in. This, as we can see in the description, will restore 5% of your maximum health when defeating an enemy with the certain active skill. In this case, the active skill is Crimson Fury. And we can do this for all of our active skills, and it's definitely something that's very easily overlooked. Speaking of things that are easily overlooked, this next one isn't so much a tip as it is a reminder. Every now and then, make sure you go into your titles menu and click on obtain prestige from titles. The prestige points are simply rewards you get for completing the titles, which are kind of like in-game mini challenges. And while they're not huge buffs individually, over time when we use enough of them, it's definitely going to become noticeable. So as most of you know by now, by using a specific weapon, it will gradually increase its familiarity. And the higher the familiarity, the higher the attack power is going to be on that said weapon. Something else I didn't realize until fairly late on in the game is that by equipping a weapon into your offhand, let's call it, it also increases its familiarity rate even if you don't use it whatsoever. This can be great in the situation when you're going to start using a new higher level weapon, but its attack power is usually going to be lower than the one you're already using due to its familiarity not being maxed out yet. Remember that you can also just simply use whetstones, which will automatically add 150 points to your familiarity without even using it. We'll come back to some more menu and stuff a little bit later on, but for now, let's jump into some more actual gameplay tips. Let's talk about how to deal with Mimic Chest and with the fake walls. First of all, the fake walls are these ones that when you get close, you can see the eyes open. The way to get past them is you're going to have to use a gesture. However, there's only one correct color gesture. They're either looking for a blue gesture, a yellow gesture, or a red gesture. You get 2 chances at this, but if you do mess up and fail twice, the wall will become aggressive and attack you. Now, while 2 out of 3 are pretty good odds in your favor, and it's going to work out most of the time, to make sure you're using the right color gesture, simply look for graves nearby to the fake wall site. Here, where it says motive of death, it'll show which colored gesture that person used. So if the gesture here shows up in blue, for example, it means that he used a blue gesture and it got him killed. therefore guaranteeing our safety, as now we know we either have to use a red or a yellow gesture and we get 2 tries at it, so we're completely safe. Now as for the mimic chest on this game, the way to spot a fake chest is by checking out the gold bands along the side of the chest. If it has 3 gold bands instead of 2, this means it's actually going to be a fake chest. Now how to deal with these, all we need to do is use the whistle gesture right in front of the chest, and this will make the mimic come out. Now we simply wait for the clone to do another gesture, and when it does, we need to mimic the same gesture that the clone just used. If we do successfully use the same gesture, the clone will disappear, dropping us all the loot that was inside. However, if we do make a mistake or take too long to use the correct gesture, the clone will start to attack us and we'll need to defeat it. Now coming from playing many Souls-like games, most of us have just gotten used to the fact there's usually no pause button in these games and we just kind of deal with it, which made it so I completely missed the very obvious fact this game does actually have a pause button. If we press the touchpad and then when inside the touchpad menu we press the options button, as it even says here on screen, you can actually completely pause the game when you have to go for a bathroom break, or well, that's pretty much it. I can't think of any other reason you'd want to stop playing Nioh 2. Something else you'll probably catch on to at some point in the game, but it took me a little while longer than I'd like to admit, is the fact that down here in the bottom right corner of our screen where it shows how much Amrita we have, if the number is glowing in yellow, it means we have enough Amrita to level up. This can save us time and hassle in the long run by going back to the shrine every time to check if we quite have enough to level up or not. Next, let's talk about everybody's favorite green creatures in the east. Of course, we're talking about the Kodamas. These are pretty important to pick up, not only of course for the very useful Kodama blessings we can equip back at the shrine, but also because of the fact that for each 5 Kodamas we find in that region, we'll start with 1 extra elixir every time we start back at the shrine. So we start each region with 3 elixirs at a time every time we die and respawn. However, let's say we've found 10 Kodamas in that region, now we'll start with 2 extra elixirs, allowing us to start with 5 every time instead of 3. This, by the time you get to the end of the region, which by the way has 25 Kodamas each, is really useful, as you'll be starting with 8 elixirs each time instead of just the standard 3. So definitely prioritize trying to find the Kodamas as soon as possible. However, it is important to note that this is separated by regions, so if in one region you do have all 25 Kodamas, you have 8 elixirs as long as you remain in that region. However, if you go to a different region where you only have, let's say, 5 Kodamas, you will only have 4 elixirs in that region. Also, this would be a good time to remind you that when you move on to a new region, you also need to reselect your Kodama blessing, as each region doesn't start with any selected when you first arrive. Throughout the game, we'll find a multitude of samurai hairlocks, ninja hairlocks, and mage's hairlocks. These, upon consumption, will give us a skill point in the respective trees. And other than that, they don't really have any use, so it's kind of annoying that they don't just straight up give us the skill point. Luckily for us, if we go into the menus here in system, and then we go to basic game settings, we can come down here to automatically use acquired locks of hair. Turning this on will make it so as soon as we acquire a lock of hair, it will automatically consume it, giving us the skill point straight away instead of just keeping it as a hair lock, as I can't think of any reason you'd not really want to do this. And the final tip regarding skill points is don't be too worried about where you put each skill point or where you even put each stat point when you level up. Do the best to make the build that you like and you feel like you're going to enjoy without worrying too much whether it's going to be a good build or a bad build, as pretty early on in the game you can completely respec both your stat point and your skill points. For your skill points, you simply need to go to the dojo and then press the triangle button to completely reset any of the skill points you have spent in any of the trees so you can redistribute them however you desire. And then for your actual stat points, these are the ones you get by leveling up. You're going to use a Book of Reincarnation. The Book of Reincarnation is a pretty rare item. You do get these rewarded for specific side missions. However, the most common way of getting Book of Reincarnation is going to be by buying it from the blacksmith. The first one is going to cost you 10,000. However, every time after that it's going to cost you more and more money. So try not to do it too many times, but quite honestly, money is really not an issue in this game for the most part. So those are all the things I wish I knew earlier in Nioh 2. As usual, please do leave in the comments down below any more tips and tricks that we may not have mentioned in this video to help out the rest of the community or new players starting out. With that said, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget that thumbs up button, subscribe for more content coming very soon, and we'll see you next time.